Okay. So, Jude, you want to ask me a question?
Yes, so Dr. Hamid Abasi, you are a successful neurosurgeon in the United States of America, and I know that you're originally from Iran, and it takes a lot of effort, to get into residence in the U.S. and not to talk about like neurosurgery. So I want to know what it, give us maybe a few minutes of what it took you, to become, to be at the level you are now. I know it must have been a lot of work, and I think it's something I could learn from. It's something a lot of people out there can learn from. So can you elaborate a little?
Well, I think what you're looking for is why I have been successful and I've achieved what I have achieved. And certainly people, like you see where I'm sitting, you see how I'm living, you see the success, but what lots of people don't see or know, the number of the time I have failed. Now, there is a saying, it's a meme on internet, they say, successful people have failed more often than non-successful people have tried. Meaning that what people don't see, that all the time I have failed, and we talked about that you don't have to succeed every single time to be successful. You just have to keep trying, use a new method, have a goal. First of all, have a goal. Now, when I grew up in Iran, our house was a shack. It was smaller than my kitchen right now. And literally what happened is that I grew in a lower socioeconomical class of my country, and I saw how people who had means, who have money, who are rich, how they lived, and I saw how I lived. And I wanted to live like them. I didn't want to keep living the way we lived with very little means. And my parents couldn't read and write. For me, the way to succeed was education. And I think it always has been, and it always will be, that education is the way for many people to get to the next level. So I literally locked myself in my room. You're changing the format. And I changed, I grew up in a very poor environment, and I saw how rich people lived, and I wanted to be like them. And education was for me the method to get that, to that place. And I remember when I was in my teens, I would lock myself in my room and read books. And I not necessarily, the books about my school, but I just read books, a lot of books, and gather knowledge. And every time I would read the books, I would see what else is out there. That books are a way for people to open up the whole world for them. And the whole world for me, but that world was not accessible for me. I didn't have the money. When I left Iran, my father gave me $20. That's all he could afford to give me. Well, he gave me in German mark. It was 40 German mark, which was $20 at that time. Obviously, that was like $150 in 2022, but it wasn't much. And I had to, that is all I got from my father to move from Iran to Germany. Now, I had my goals, and I know I have to work hard, and going back was not an option for me. I think that if it's a secret to my success, that secret is that I just didn't give up. I just keep learning and didn't give up. I failed, and I just tried harder. I just tried again. And in a way, I think success for most of people comes from having clear goals and knowing what you want to do. I mean, for me, it was becoming a neurosurgeon. That was truly my goal when I was a teenager. I wanted to be a neurosurgeon. I couldn't imagine to do anything else. And I didn't take a no for an answer. And maybe part of that is as well genetic, because I see it as well in my children. they don't take a no from me. they just like, you know, they just keep going. But on the other side, I think part of that is as well, any part of success comes from two parts. Working hard and having ambitions. Working hard and ambition, they go together, but then the other part is having the knowledge, having the requirement. Like, I want to be an astronaut, right? I have a lot of ambition, but if I don't know how to be an astronaut, it's useless. As a matter of fact, if you have lots of ambition, but your knowledge is not at par with your ambition, that is when catastrophes happen. Like, imagine you want to be a brain surgeon, but you don't know how to be a brain surgeon. You're going to kill people. On the other side, you know, if you have a lot of knowledge and then you have the ambition to support that, that is where you can be really successful. Now, but you can, the ambition and so on, it's something in your heart, you know it. You know, people either are ambitious or they are not, but then that enables you to work hard. If your ambition, you really want to access these doors that open gates for you, you work hard. But then you have to work on knowledge base and education. That's what it is. But it's even beyond that. Like, you know, when I don't have anything to do, my wife thinks I'm a crazy person, because when she catch me on YouTube or TikTok, I'm watching something about a mathematics or a physics or a chemistry and so on. I'm still trying every day to learn something, and you would be surprised how often that helps you. Like, there's a story in Crookston. It's a legend in Crookston, because I come to the surgery in the morning, and literally our CR machine dies. And the CR machine is the machine that we use in the surgery to get x-rays. So we have 4 cases. So what are the things? The person who comes and repairs that is not going to be there today. We can cancel all those cases. Or what I did, I opened up the back of the machine, and people think I'm a genius because I just opened it up and repaired the CR machine in the war. But in truth, what I did, I knew the problem was the fuse box, and I just bypassed the fuse box. If you don't know how to do things, everything is magic. But once you know how to do things, everything is trivial. So what I did, I opened up the back of the C-arms, I bypassed the fuse box and controlled the individual unit of that C-arm directly to the electricity of the wall, and we did all those surgeries safely, because it is really no magic to that. But how did I acquire that knowledge? By being voracious, hungry person for knowledge. So those things that you're acquiring in your life, even though initially, like, why would a neurosurgeon need to know how electricity works? But because I had enough background of that, I could repair that. It's another story that there's a machine we use in the surgery. It's called neuromonitoring machine, where you put electrodes in the body and you gather the electrical signal, and literally what it does, it tells you how close you are to nerve. That machine is run on a computer, and now I know how to deal with the computer. It has nothing to do with neurosurgery, but I know how to deal with the computer because I've broken a lot of computers. I have destroyed a lot of computers, but I acquired a lot of knowledge. So what I did, I went to that neuromonitoring machine, the laptop, I disabled certain aspect of the operating system. The operating system wasn't booting up. I literally found out what part of the operating system was not working. I disabled those functions, so when it's booting up, it would always get to that function. It couldn't run that function, it would shut down. So I bypassed those function of the operating system. It had nothing to do with the neuronavigation machine, but if you don't have a computer booted up, you cannot run the neuronavigation program, a neuromonitoring program on it. So I disabled those functions, and the machine booted up, and we could do our surgeries in Crookston. Both of that happened in Crookston.
Interesting.
And what I'm getting at, if you have ambition and you add knowledge to it, I think you ask what makes people successful. Have the ambition, but ambition is an empty word if you don't put the hard work on it.
So that's yes. I know a lot of people do have ambition. I think maybe everyone does have ambition. What makes the difference is, what do you do to act on your ambition, and how do you maintain that energy? Because sometimes you might have, very big ambitions, and you need to be able to put in action. So how do you maintain that energy and sustain it to be able to achieve your goals?
Yeah, let's start with the easy part of that. Would you go and talk to anybody, ask anybody, are you ambitious? And they come back and you say, no, I'm a lazy ass, I'm not ambitious, I just want to sit on my couch and do nothing. Would anybody tell you I'm not ambitious? No. Everybody will tell you, oh, I'm ambitious, I'm the most ambitious person. But how do you distinguish between that empty word ambitious and true ambition, meaning that you pay the price, you wake up in the morning, you show up to work, you do it especially when you are tired, especially when things get hard, especially if you don't get any rewards for it, especially if nobody patting you on the back and saying what a great guy you are and so on, especially if you're lonely and nobody watch you. That is, you pay the dues, and that is truly separate between people who pretend to be ambitious and people who are truly ambitious. That you still wake up when nobody really expects you. You truly get the job done. Like, there is a part of a movie. This is a chef trying to get hired in a high-end restaurant, and is interviewing, and the owner reject him. To say, no, don't have a good job for you. But then on the way out, he sees that something is not in the right place, and he take it and put it in the right place. Even if he was rejected for that position, for that place, he still does the right job. And then the guy who owns that, watch it on the camera, sees that, so no, that really and then he bring him back and he hires him. Okay? So, and ask him, I didn't give you the job. Why did you? It was something on the edge of the table, was about to fall off. He take it and put it in a safe place. And he asked, why did you do that? I didn't give you a job, and you still,
cared about it.
Cared about something. You see, that is a part. You care about, if nobody sees, nobody cares, and so you still care about it and you do the right thing. That is the true ambition. Now, otherwise, ambition is like any other word, is empty word. There is a story about actually Socrates and Plato. Plato wrote a book about the last day of Socrates, and he praises Socrates about how he could define and cut through the chase, cut the bullshit away, and say, like a word, courageous. How do you define courage? That is actually in the last day of Socrates in Plato's writing, that this is how Socrates would say, the way you define a word, you describe literally situation in life that word would apply to that. Like, is courageous not having fear? No, that's dumbness. If you know an arrow is coming at you, you run to that, and you don't recognize the consequence of that, you're not courageous, you're dumb. Okay? No, but if you truly recognize that the arrow is coming at you, you may die, but you have a plan. But you think the sacrifice you are making is worth it. Because that's what we do. We sacrifice our life or time in our life. But if you understand the true consequences of your action, you're scared, but you still run through the arrow, that is courage. Otherwise, everybody's courageous, right? And not everybody who runs through the arrow is courageous. Some of them are truly dumb. Like, in my country, lots of people walked on the minefield, not because they were courageous, because they were fooled to believe if you run on a mine and you get killed, you go directly to paradise and you get 72 virgins. They got killed not for a higher goal. They got killed to get 72 virgins. Now, are they courageous or are they just fool people who got fooled? Now, that's a different debate.
Yeah.
But if you know what you're doing requires a personal sacrifice, and you know the consequences of that, and you think it's truly worth it, if you're scared yet you do it, then you're courageous. Same thing with the ambition. You know what sacrifice it really takes? You know?
And you put in the effort, whether you feel like it or don't feel like it.
Yeah. You do it even if you don't feel like it. That is true ambition. Now,
and be consistent with it.
Now imagine though, you have ambition, but you don't have the knowledge. You don't come far. As a matter of fact, probably most of the horrible thing in life, in human history, has happened because ambitious people didn't have the knowledge to back it up, and they caused lots of damage. You can cause lots of damage if you are very ambitious and try to repair an airplane and you don't know how to do that, and then people will die. Okay? But now the second part, you say we covered that. You said, secret to success. You covered the ambition part, and you can work on it. Ambition is not only something you're born with it or not. Part of it is possibly, but you can as well look at. The drive for ambition is hunger. That lots of people who are truly successful, they grew up poor. They come from poor environment, and they see how rich people live and they want to be rich. That gives them the hunger to work on their ambition. Now the second part, knowledge, and that knowledge is actually, that's the easy part. What do you do for fun? For fun I break things and I repair it. If I watch something that teach me something, anything, or when I drive, I listen to books, and almost every week I read a book, on average. Okay, so that part, especially, that used to be hard. Learning, and increasing your knowledge used to be a domain of very few people. Okay, like I remember when I was growing up in Iran, I used to walk 4 hours each way to borrow 2 books from the library. Okay, so the whole day it was that I was just walking to get to a place, and I was allowed to borrow only 2 books, and I had to return it in 2 weeks. So but now it's 2022. You have a cell phone, you have the entire knowledge of the world. I'm in a way surprised why not everybody's a genius now. Because the knowledge is so accessible. Like, it becomes amazing. Like, you want to repair the brakes of your car, or you want to fix your the dishwasher and so on. There's a YouTube video. This knowledge has become so democratized, so easily accessible. Yet people, which is nothing, I have nothing against that, choose to only watch little kiddies dancing, or no, that's fun, but can you mix it up? Can you add to your routine life things that advance your knowledge? Like you asked me about additional training and so on and so forth. That training is always out there. You can always get more training. You can always improve in your life. Now, if you truly do that, and that the drive for that additional knowledge is curiosity. Like, I was talking to my daughter when she and we were returning from Iran. We were in the airport, and it was like we were sitting in the waiting hall of the airport, and there were 2 huge kind of pillars just next to each other, and I was just wondering, why would they put 2 pillars and not 1 in that location? And my mind couldn't rest. Why is that? Why weren't they economical and put just 1 pillar? There are just 2 big pillars next to each other. And I just couldn't stop. I was curious. I just couldn't stop. I think that's my nature. But as well, you can look at anything around you and then you just ask why. Now, the reason for that was these were actually, even though everything looked like the same, these were actually 2 sections of the building. And now big building, when they get hot and cold, they expand and close. Like, the big building, like this house, sometimes in winter and summer, it moves few inches, they get bigger and smaller. So in that case, in that airport, it was that this section, if they would put it all together, when they expand and contract with the temperature change, it literally, they squeeze and they destroy each other. They put those gaps between the section and they put something expandable, rubber-like between, that when they expand and get smaller, the integrity of the building doesn't. But my mind couldn't rest until I found out about why they put 2 pillars. Like, and that is lots of things. You and I are doctors. Lots of things in medicine are discovered that. You know the story about behind Alexander Fleming and penicillin? He went for the vacation. He had this media, these agar cultures, and he came back. Somebody didn't take care of them, and they all went bad. The bacterial overgrowth and so on and so forth. But not all of them went bad. Some of them, they had a halo and the bacteria couldn't grow. And anybody else would have thrown everything away and started all over. But Fleming was very curious. He took those that bacteria didn't grow and checked them out, and he discovered that the fungus, a penicillin fungus, that producing penicillin and make literally that in that area that the fungus produced penicillin, bacteria are not growing. And hence we discovered the penicillin that saved millions and millions of lives just in the Second World War. And so, that curiosity, if you add that to your just observation, you can make everyday event a learning experience. Now, if you have the curiosity that gives you the knowledge, and if you have the ambition that motivates you to work hard, I don't believe you can fail, because you don't. As we talked about that, you can you can fail 10 times, but be successful only once.
And that might be all you need.
That's all you need. That's all you need. And if you think that is just a mumbo jumbo, let me tell you a story about the behavioral science. Pigeon. They do lots of behavioral science with pigeon because their brain is easy constructed, and you can construct easy experience to see how a vertebrate brain works. They teach pigeon by putting a grain of something and then making them to pick on something like a red button. They pick on the red button, they give a grain. They pick on it, they give a grain. And then they don't give a grain every time. They give it every 10 times they give it a grain. Then make it irregular. And then they have done those studies. How many grains do you think from picking a pigeon should get or can get, so he doesn't forget and he still keep picking? If a pigeon get a grain for 1,000 pick, irregular, like you did 10,000, he doesn't get a grain. But then if in average, the pigeon get 1 grain in 1,000 mistake, 1,000 failure, but 1 success, they keep picking. So you need to be successful not in 1 in 10. It seems that 1 in 1,000 success in our brain, our biology, is enough to enforce and keep us going. Do you know what is the bad side of that? The bad side of this behavior? That is how Las Vegas is very rich. You know where I'm going?
Yeah, I get it.
They use the human biology, the human brain, how it works, just to their advantage. Because obviously we know they don't have those big casinos to lose money and give you that. Not everybody goes there, come back with money, right? Even some people may think they always win and so on, but that is exactly their fallacy, their mistake, that they have learned how often somebody needs to be successful that they go next year and next year and after that. They get addicted. That is actually the addiction to gambling. That is where it's coming from our human biology. Now take it to the good side. If you fail 9 times, it's good thing to still be trying the 10th time, but you have to be as well bringing a little kind of knowledge and experience in that. You have to change the environment a little. Don't try this exactly same things. Change a little different. Like people say they hate mathematics. Yeah, I hear that a lot. They hate mathematics. Well, they hate mathematics because the mathematics is taught to us in a wrong way. Mathematics is a visual science. Now, and they have done those experiments, especially in China, where they try to teach mathematics to children in a visual way. And that is probably one of the reasons why Asian countries, Singapore, China, Taiwan, they excel so at math comparing to science and comparing to us, because they try to make that experience in a way that they taught me just memorizing English in my school. Nobody would speak English after we were done. But after so many years, they wouldn't change it enough. Okay, they didn't change it enough to make it successful. So it's the same thing here. You don't have to succeed every single time, but you keep trying. But every time you change something, and try it a little different way, and that is, I think, gives you the best opportunity to combine your knowledge and ambition to make successful. That's a very long explanation about your question.
Yeah, it took long, but yeah, you covered a lot of areas. So if you were to summarize, maybe using a sentence, or even maybe 3 words that you think is key to success, what would those words be, or what would it, maybe a sentence?
Do things even if you don't feel to doing that, if they need to be done.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
So let's stop there.